Hey, Claude.
Hi, Jess.
How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. You know,
So, Claude, I've been meaning to tell you, with all of the
what?
attempts at getting better at producing or editing our podcast, which, yes, we know still needs a lot of work, but I've noticed that you and I have some catchphrases. Have you noticed that? Or similar things that we say again and again?
Yeah, I know mine. And each time I say it, I'm
Wait,
like,
wait, let me say it.
not again. Go ahead.
Uh,
So that
uh.
is very French.
It is very French.
It's like instead of it's And then also something that always my skin crawl when I hear myself. First of all, I hate hearing myself, but it's like right. I say right all the time. I don't know why.
Well, because you're right. Well, I mean, that's fine. You're always right.
I don't even know that context.
That's all right. I turned into a valley girl and I say,
Yeah,
that's awesome or awesome.
it's awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
It's going to be great between awesome.
Right?
What a great podcast. Oh,
For
that's
all
so
of you
funny.
listening, we would totally makes you want to make a game of it. If you can count how many times we say our common catchphrases, there could be a little reward with you. Maybe you'll be one of our next guests. Maybe you'll get a reward. Reach out and find
I know, except that you're slicing most of them.
out. The sad part is, even with slicing them, there's still a lot.
Anyway, I am going to try to channel Jessica from the last episode, not by saying awesome, but I don't know if you noticed, she had such a beautiful voice when she introduced our guest last episode. So much, I sounded like a 1-900 number. So
Hey,
I'm
it
going
kind
to
of went with the
try.
title. Come on, bitchy
That's
angels. You
true.
needed, you needed something.
That's true,
But
but it
thanks for
was beautiful.
noticing. I didn't know think anyone caught
Oh my
it.
God. So I'm going to try to do the same without practicing. So hold your horses. Today's episode, I am extremely happy to have Carrie on our podcast. She's one of my favorite person in the whole world. We've been working together about, we worked together about 20 years ago. But again, Carrie, excited to have her on this podcast. I don't think it was the same.
Bravo.
I don't think
Bravo.
I have a 1-900 number voice.
Well, with that, let's go to the episode.
Work
Besties!
Oh, today I am so excited to have one of my work besties. Yes, Jess, I had a life before.
I was one of the OGs.
And
I'm the only one.
yes, the OGs. Not only she's a work bestie, but now she's my very good friend that we talk and, asks questions and help. So it's going to be a great episode, I think, if I may say so myself. And not only that, we are going to talk about ourselves, but we are also going to talk about Carrie's other work bestie that actually is her business partner now. So a lot of great topic for this episode. So we can get
Well,
started.
this is a fun episode for me because I get to have the role reversal. Normally, I'm under the hot seat with you asking me questions, Claude. So I get to take the host position for once.
And I can say now to the audience, I do have other work besties.
Well, that's the beauty of embracing the work bestie kind of feeling and theology behind it is, you know what, you can have more than one.
Yeah.
And they can mean different things. And also they come at different points in your life and your career when you need them. Just like real friendships. All right, Carrie,
so before you keep going on about your friendship, why don't you introduce yourself first so the audience knows who you are?
I'm Carrie Landry, and I'm so excited. This is my first podcast ever, so I'm super excited to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to experienced this with Claude, because we've been friends for so many years now, and have watched our lives and careers changed. And I get to meet you, Jessica, and see how you guys are coming together. So I'm excited. So Claude, I worked for a big cosmetic company for years, and that's where I met Claude. And I was a national account director, and really enjoyed it, really loved the industry. But then I decided to retire. So I did. And within that retirement, we'll get to that with my other work bestie, as we started our own company together. So we went from work besties to friends to now business partners, and still just the best of friends. So
you've just given us a lot now that we can start to unpack for this episode. So thank you. So before we get into your newer venture and business partner, let's talk first about Claude. I want to put Claude on the hot seat. Carrie, what was your first opinion of Claude when you met her?
So I met Claude over the phone first. I mean, to me, Claude, you were the New York office. You were the first person I would talk to. I wouldn't call you a gatekeeper. I would call you more of the kind of the heart and the voice to me. For me, I was on the West Coast. You were in New York. You were really my first kind of connection with the New York office, besides our boss at the time. I loved your voice. I loved your accent. I loved that I had to say, what? Can you repeat that again? Because I've been accused of having a Valley Girl accent, but I was like nowhere near the whole French accent. So so that's how we really. So that was my first impression was she was super nice in French, and how cool was that?
And Claude, what was your first impression of Carrie?
For me, it was this carefree and very smart woman where I think we had great conversation. Like at the beginning, of course, it was, very business, but I think we kind of have the same personality, that bubbly and wanting to help each other. And then I became also a national account executive for a department stores on the East Coast. And our boss at the time told us, why don't you go to San Francisco and shadow Carrie? And that, I think, also make it, because it was the first time that we finally saw each other in person, and I was in awe, how this woman was walking through the floor in a department store, in the beauty department, and everybody knew her, everybody respected her. And I have to say, I learned a lot from her on that, those few days. I remember also there was a lot of support in our team, but, especially Carrie.
It almost sounds, as you guys developed this like work bestie friendship, that you almost had more like a mentor-mentee relationship in some sort of regards too.
I mean, maybe Claude, you might not have felt that it was a reverse mentorship, but I 100% did. I mean, or not reverse mentorship, but a mutual,
but
mutual mentorship. And I think that's important when you're really developing friendships and relationships, that there's a level of equality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Work besties, it's a lot easier to have a work bestie when you really look at each other from an equal standpoint.
Yeah, and I think that was also what made us also work besties, because we were there to support, and not one wanted to try to outshine, because it doesn't. There's no need. It's like
there's plenty of room. I didn't want your job, and you didn't want my job, so we carried on with our
exactly.
Which really, and honestly, to really, and I think that we were within a team, Claude, really, and our leader of our team, of our company, our division, our brand, really fostered collaborative relationships as opposed to, quote, teamwork.
Yes.
So, teamwork is very task oriented, but I feel like collaboration is about trust. And so when you have someone who is, leading the charge, leading the pack, leading the company, or leading the division, if they have a collaborative mindset off the fact, which is based on trust, then that really does kind of permeate through the whole entire
Yeah.
organization.
It trickles
Yeah, it
down
really
to
does.
the
It just
people.
goes through everything. And I think that's, and then that in turn helps all of us be able to trust each other to develop friendships and relationships. So
Exactly. That's a perfect example that, and I'm going to say her name because I think she
yeah,
deserves it. You know,
Chris.
Chris, our general manager,
Yeah.
Chris, has been a mentor for I don't know how many people
Oh,
in the company across, and she really fostered this
yeah.
relationship, this collaboration. And that is an example that how a general manager, a manager can actually foster that, and people are not
Right.
afraid.
And that's rare. Unfortunately, we
Yes,
need more men and women in business to have
like
that
Chris.
confidence to be able to foster those really connected, collaborative relationships. And we were so fortunate to have that. And I'm still dear friends with her. So, she's
Me
like my
too.
older sister. I talk
Yeah.
to her probably sometimes once a week, sometimes more.
Yeah, each time I actually had something, positive in my career. Actually, even personally, I will call her, and when it's career, I say, "Thank you,
Right.
Chris. If I am where I am, not that I'm like a president or something, but it is thanks to
Oh, I feel
you."
the same way.
So this is something,
100%.
yeah.
100% believe that. Feel the same way.
That's amazing. That's a great testament to other organizations of how and why you want to be so supportive of
Yeah.
that and embrace
Mhm.
it. You would hope that HR companies around the world would hear things like this, and that's kind of how you want to emulate your leadership
Totally.
team.
Right.
All of them, not just one, right? Because if they all foster that, then the trickle down just
100%.
occurs everywhere. I think our goal in this podcast is to hear more and more of that and how that can continue to the trickle to everybody else. Because if you guys are feeling it now, you're starting to kind of filter that in your own organizations or your own company itself. It continues. And I think we need more and more of that.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, we worked for her. When was it? Like 20 years ago?
Yeah, a long
Was it? So,
yeah,
and
I think 15,
imagine,
20 years.
yeah, 15, 20 years ago. So
But I knew
imagine
her since I was
you did.
22.
Yeah, she brought
I
you
met
over.
her one of my first jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she brought you over.
it's
But,
crazy.
you know, and we still talk about her, you know. I have a question actually for you, Carrie, because so talking about your other work bestie, you were actually like we started also to be remote. We were at the time it's not remote, but you were, in the field on the West Coast. How did you really started to have that connection with your other work, one of your other work besties, as both of you?
We were online, we were remote. It was before the pandemic, but we were remote because she lives in the middle of the country and I kind of live not in the middle of the country too. So, we would see each other at meetings and we'd say hi and we'd
Mhm.
talk. And it wasn't until, and I really liked her. I felt like, oh, she's just like a normal gal, right? It wasn't until we did a restructuring, we ended up with the same direct report. So we were the only two directors reporting to
Mhm.
this our direct report. So it was an interesting transition and interesting dynamics and definitely interesting personalities. Once we started kind of meeting at meetings and sitting next to each other and talking, and we would go to, sales meetings and we'd have to sit with our group and everything, that we really started to actually connect on a business level, to the point of where we would, we'd start chatting with each other on the phone, give her a call, give her, our Teams meeting, where we would start, if there were challenges or frustrations, I could call her. She had a lot of different knowledge than I had, and I had different knowledge than she had. So we kind of worked together with our strengths, and our challenges, and we're able to kind of connect together with that and overcome some of the frustrations we had. And then that turned into more frequent conversations. And then as you do with any friendship is you start getting to know them as a person. We really started to develop over time. So it was not an immediate like, oh my God, she's my best friend. I'm so happy. And we really did lean on each other emotionally as well to be able to kind of get through. And I have to say, we both use humor to kind of overcome. So it was, laugh and giggle and tell jokes and yeah, so it took some time, but then it really kind of started snowballing into like a real friendship.
It sounds like you two definitely were going through maybe similar situations because you both reported into the same boss. So what was the kind of connectivity that kind of held the glue together?
Working in what industry we worked in, it can be conceived or construed as a very superficial industry. That just isn't who we are. We really realize that we both have very similar values and we both have very similar ways of living our lives. And that really was where it kind of jumped the shark from just work into a deeper understanding and friendship with each other, had a lot in common. We liked each other and and that's where the trust started building up because I found out she wasn't like if I said something, it wasn't going anywhere.
As you got to know each other, what was like that one thing that you valued or appreciated most about working with each other?
I think the thing I valued the most, and I know she feels the same way, is we both felt like we could 100% be ourselves around each other. And she loved it. We loved it. Yeah, really. Yeah, like a really authentic relationship. And I think you both all know that sometimes in business, it's all about perception. Yeah. Everybody's either on their best behavior or they're just not being themselves because they're kind of playing a role and trying to get to somebody to notice them and to be more impressive and have the I'd say we've all been there. You know the business, and that can translate over all kinds of businesses. It doesn't have to be from the business we came from.
For sure.
And boy, I mean, to find somebody in that realm who you felt. But once you kind of get over that and realize that you can be yourself, then what, you're yourself. Then I felt like I could be myself with her all the time. Doesn't matter where we were. We were at a meeting, we were a sales meeting, we were home. It doesn't matter. You never know.
I think the one thing Claude talks about a lot with when me and her both reported into the same individual was most about our friendship was the fact that neither of us were competitive. Like we were silly competitive, but we were never trying to outdo the other. So it sounds like you were able to establish that type of partnership with your individual too, that it's not about one winning, it's about you both winning, and how can you work together, because when you both rise, then your teams rise.
Exactly.
And then it starts like you talked about with Chris, it's the trickle down effect of how what you both emulate, regardless of what's going on above or around, what you both emulate hopefully will penetrate the teams that you guys support too.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's the work bestie foundation, right? Is trust, is like this non-competition, supporting the person and the support and applauding the victory of your work bestie. You can't put it, what about, no, it's supporting, and being happy for them and
celebrating the successes,
being there,
and supporting when you have the
isn't
opportunity.
that though? Honestly, isn't that the foundation of collaboration? Right? Collaboration is
you
not.
Would think it's so simple.
I mean, you would think it would be, but I mean, real collaboration is everybody working together for a common goal, right? That's collaboration, not.
So I'm curious, and so you guys were both working in the same company, similar levels, supporting each other, kind of navigating that landscape in a bigger company. How did you take the leap from that to starting your own company and partnering with each other?
It happened. I tell this story. I'll try to tell it really quick, but so we were at a sales meeting. We had a little bit of free time. We went to the beach and we took like a 3-hour walk, and it ended up storming and raining, and we were soaking wet.
Oh boy.
But we just needed some fresh air, which it turned into more than that. But and we just started we said, oh my gosh, we were frustrated about some stuff, nothing that isn't normal frustrations and work frustrations. And we both were like, what if we didn't have to work? What would you want to do with your life? Like, let's say, you won the lottery. What do you want to do? And we both wanted to do the same thing. And I was like, oh my God. And that, like, I said, if I had not had to worry about it, money or anything like that, and I could just do whatever I wanted to do, I would want to start a foundation. And she goes, yeah, me too. It's going to be called the Joy Foundation. And I'm like, okay, tell me more what you want. Like, that's how we started. And we're like, I said, well, we're just going to have to figure out how to fund our foundation. That's all that we're going to have to do. I mean, that's what we're going to do. So that was the first initial conversation. We just kind of laughed it off. And then later down the line, we both retired from our company. And, that initial day after, like, okay, you're retired. And then you wake up that first day afterwards and you're like, wow, what am I going to do? Like, it's a weird feeling, to be honest with you. And so, of course, I called and we just started having daily phone calls about how we were feeling, what we were wanting to do, what we were thinking about. And like, we were talking for like 6 months, probably, like pretty much daily. And it really came down to, well, we really want to fund the foundation. So how are we going to fund the foundation? And we both agreed that, you know what, maybe we weren't done with working anymore. Maybe we wanted to do this on our own. And so we decided to start thinking about, why don't we just create a product? Why don't we develop a product and take it to market? And I know that sounds so funny because honestly, I was like, yeah, sure. Why don't we do that? Like, of course. And
it doesn't sound funny to me and Claude.
Well, so we did. So I was like, okay. So we started talking about what it would be, what the product, what the company would be. And then we were like, are we actually going to do this? And I'm like, I think we're going to do this. And I said, but I want to make sure that our friendships remains intact. And, you can be work besties, but when you start talking money and going into business and legal documents and all of that kind of stuff, I mean, that takes trust, like a friendship trust, to a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah, for
to
sure.
another level, created this product. It is like from the formula, talking to chemists, talking to
Business,
plants to do it, like patent, like from A to
business
Z, which is
agreements.
incredible.
But we learned something about each other that we didn't know from our work together. We learned that both have strengths that are opposite from each other. And that we just...
Yeah.
The yin and the yang against
Claude and
us.
I are giggling.
Yeah.
That's totally us.
But our strengths were so complementary. Like, I was like, I am going to dig in formulas. I'm going to research what people have, and I'm going to research ingredients. And she's like, great, because I love math and I'm going to go do the formula. And so, I started this, she started that. We both started digging, then we got together. So it happened very, and I'm not sure if this is the right word, but it seemed to happen very organically. And it's still to this day.
Do you want to tell us about your product?
It's called Comfy Boobz with a Z.
You gotta explain.
Comfy Boobz. Comfy Boobz and Body Silky Relief Balm. We were going to develop a product. It had to be a product that we were developing because we needed it personally. So that was it. Number one, it had to be a product that we actually needed ourselves. And number two, it had to solve a problem.
Your story is inspirational. I think the fact that the foundation of it is built off of a work best friend is also kind of empowering to others to see a simple best friend work from your work and like change 100%. Your life. Like, could you imagine, to your point, what if you hadn't taken that job or you two hadn't been connected together?
I would have never done this.
Just how different your trajectory. Yeah, how different your trajectory would be, and how much joy you both have brought to each other and now to others.
But when I look at the big picture in the world, of my life, I'm so fortunate. And I can honestly say that So much of the success I've had in my life, whether it be personal, professional, or in between, has been a direct result of the help that I've received from other people and the friendships that I have and developed. So, that's what, like, I love what you all are doing, because you're really encouraging people to be vulnerable and to really foster those friendships and relationships, and that you never know where they're going to take you. You never know where that one friend, where you could end up, and work friendships are critical for just your own self, feeling good about yourself and feeling good about what you want to do. So carry on. I think your mission to really have this and talk about it and be advocates and really be able to tell stories to people, and share stories and success stories of work friendships and how they have, made the difference, is going to make a difference in the world too. So I love it for you guys.
Any parting words or advice for future generations, or even as you're building your organization, which I'm sure at some point you'll have more people join, how are you planning to incorporate the support system or understanding of the value of work besties?
Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to really, and honestly, to really reach out and become vulnerable and allow yourself to be honest and vulnerable. For me, I think really understanding what collaboration means. And I think that collaboration is about trust. So as you're working in groups, if young people really understand what collaboration is about, trust, and about really trusting somebody else, that will develop into lifelong friendships and really could help from a business standpoint. Be afraid to be yourself and really reach out for connections, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable when you're struggling and ask for help. There's good people out there.
So, I am sure that you all want to know more about Carrie's new product. Well, the name is Comfy Boobz and Body. It is a clean solution for sticky, sweaty skin. This waterless formula provides instant relief and comfort, making it perfect for use anywhere on the body, whether sweaty underarms, sticky thighs, or uncomfortable cleavage. And in addition to being all natural, it is made by women for women. A great product that I have to say I've been using quite religiously. And Jess, I'm sure that this would be good for your running.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. This would really help with my long distance runs for sure, to really help prevent the chafing. And I believe Carrie was nice enough to allow all of our listeners a 20% off discount on their first order. So with the promo code COMFY20, they can get 20% off. And as always, there is free shipping. What else can we say but thanks, Carrie. Oh my gosh, Claude. That was like one of the most amazing experiences. It was so great to meet Carrie and to get to know her. Even if she is your original OG, I still like her.
Isn't she awesome?
So awesome.
I mean, I love her.
From my perspective, being an outsider, it was so fabulous just to see you and your dynamic with somebody from a different perspective, but still seeing that lightheartedness and that connection that you guys have. And then the thing that stood out the most to me was in your story when you guys started talking about your boss, Chris.
Oh, yes.
Wow. For me, that showcases work besties is important, but management and leadership almost just as important, if not more, right?
Yeah.
Because the connection Chris forged for you guys and allowed for you guys to continue this momentum. And the fact that you guys still are connected to Chris today, sounds like you and Carrie are reaching out about personal, professional things with Chris now.
Oh, yeah. Just to let you know, like for Chris, like each time she's my mentor, really. And each time something great happened at work, like a promotion, I always call her and say thank you, because it is thanks to you. Or even if I have issues at work, I will call her as well. That is, the other way where we know that a lot of time work besties, they bond when there's bad bosses or, challenges.
Yeah.
But you can also form great friendship when you have this great leadership.
Right.
It's really at the end of the day, it's like this emotion, even a
It's a
positive
movement.
emotion.
It's like
You
how I
are
said that we wanted ours to be a
exactly.
movement. Chris has created this tidal
Mhm.
wave of positivity that you all are paying
Totally.
forward and keeping
Hmm.
connected. It's so impressive and
Yeah, yeah.
awe-inspiring.
And yeah, and Carrie now is a very dear friend. Work bestie, of course, started a very good friend that always confiding, and look at also with her work bestie now, she opened a business also. So you never know where this relationship of work bestie can really bring.
It was awe-inspiring, as I just commented, to see how she's paying it forward as well and now creating
Hmm.
something of her
Yes.
own. Women-led, women-founded, all women involved too. So to see that power and momentum
Yeah.
continue. And it sounds like she's bringing in, we didn't have it in the podcast per se, but she did comment to you and I in a debriefing session about she's
Right.
talking with other college students. So you see her also reaching out to that younger generation and already instilling that, which is fantastic.
Okay. So Jess, what time is it now?
Our favorite time to
Are we
try and say
going
something together, but never get it
to
right.
tag? All right, let's go.
To
To
all the
all
work
the work
besties out there,
besties out there,
keep
keep
supporting each
supporting
other.
each other.
Close enough.
Still not this one. Episode 8 didn't happen.
All right. Peace. Awesome. Duh.
Right?